I gave the sport of boxing my whole life. I dedicated my whole life to the sport of boxing.
When we talk about Floyd Mayweather, we're not just talking about a fighter. We're talking about a genius, a man who turned boxing into a multi-million-dollar empire. If you look at his career, it's easy to be captivated by his staggering undefeated record, but that's only half the story. The real magic happens when you pull back the curtain and see how Mayweather turned his skills into a business that keeps growing long after he stopped fighting. And the genius is not just in the ring. Let's get something straight first. Floyd Mayweather isn't just a boxer. Sure, he's the man who made the sweet science his playground, but he's also a master of one of the oldest tricks in the book, showing people what they want to see and getting paid handsomely for it. Mayweather's genius is in his understanding of spectacle. He didn't just win fights, he sold fights. He didn't just deliver punches, he delivered drama. When you think about Mayweather, you think about the flashy cars, the million-dollar watches, the diamonds.
Out of my career, I just want to say, none of them was really tough.
You think about the money because that's exactly what he wants you to think about. That's how he built an empire. Not on the sweat and blood alone, but on your obsession with it. Let's break it down, and trust me, it's not as complicated as it seems. Floyd Mayweather is, at his core, a businessman who happened to use boxing as his vehicle. And what did he do with that vehicle? He made sure it wasn't just a car, it was a Ferrari, a private jet, a mansion in every city. He capitalized on his persona. He sold the fight before it even began. While other boxers were thinking about how to land a punch, Mayweather was thinking about how to land a deal. How many times did you hear him talk about being the best ever? How many times did you hear him scream "Money Mayweather" into the mic? His name echoed in an arena full of fans and critics alike. It wasn't just about the fight. It was about the narrative. Mayweather understood that. He wasn't the underdog fighting to make his name. He was the king, already sitting on his throne, commanding attention, making you feel like you had to see what happened next. He didn't need to fight for the glory. He fought for the paycheck, and he made sure everyone else was watching as he did. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Floyd Mayweather didn't just make money inside the ring. He turned every opportunity into a payday. His fights weren't just sporting events. They were business ventures. When he fought, the world watched. He knew how to make an event feel like an event. It's almost like watching the Super Bowl every time he stepped into the ring. An event so big it didn't matter who the opponent was. The story was always about him. That's branding 101. While other athletes are focused on their physical prowess, Mayweather was focused on the perception of his talent. He wasn't fighting for legacy like other legends in the sport. He was fighting for money, and he was the only one smart enough to make sure it worked. Let's talk about that money nickname for a second. Most people think of it as just a flashy moniker. But let's be real, Mayweather took that label and made it part of his identity. He made sure you knew how rich he was. And why wouldn't he? It was part of his brand. He made being wealthy look like the ultimate victory. When other athletes were playing down their success, he was broadcasting it. He wasn't showing off, he was selling a lifestyle.
Like this, as far as, with that situation. I'm a fighter, right? And my beef is with other boxers. That's my beef.
People don't want just a fighter. They want the guy who lives large, who makes more in a day than most people will ever see in a lifetime. Floyd made sure you wanted to be him, and in doing so, he created a market for himself that nobody else could touch. The real kicker? He was his own promoter. When fighters today talk about the best promoters in the game, they're talking about themselves or their management teams. Mayweather? He didn't need anyone else to sell him. He could sell himself better than anyone in the game. When it came time for his big pay-per-view fights, there was no agent, no middleman. It was Mayweather Promotions, and it was genius. He knew how to sell himself, his brand, and every aspect of his fights. And that wasn't just skill, it was strategic brilliance. In fact, it was genius so pure, the rest of the boxing world didn't catch on until years later. And let's talk about the numbers. The money. Floyd Mayweather didn't just fight for millions. He fought for billions. And here's the part that stings for the critics who claim he wasn't a true champion. He was. But his championship wasn't measured in gold belts. It was measured in dollars. He was making millions per fight when some of his contemporaries were lucky to walk away with six figures. But it wasn't just the fights. It was everything else. His business savvy led him to partnerships, endorsements, and investments that put him in a different stratosphere. Let's talk about those partnerships for a second. Ever heard of the term the money team? Floyd didn't just surround himself with yes men. He surrounded himself with business-savvy individuals who could help him scale his wealth. When you've got that much cash to play with, you need to invest it wisely. Mayweather did that. He owned properties, luxury cars, and yes, a massive chunk of the pay-per-view pie. But here's the part that gets overlooked. He wasn't just collecting money. He was making smart moves to ensure his wealth kept growing. And then there's the fight game itself. People love to mock Mayweather's defensive style. They love to criticize his boring tactics. But let's be honest here. The man knew how to win and how to win big. His defense wasn't just about avoiding punches. It was about avoiding risk.
I mean, I feel like every birthday is special, not just for me, but for everyone. It's a blessing just to wake up and see another day, so every day is a birthday.
He controlled the pace of the fight. He knew that a fighter doesn't need to be reckless to make a statement. Sometimes, the real statement is made by making the other guy look foolish for trying to land a punch. So while people were screaming about his style, Mayweather was already cashing in on the spectacle that came with it. And let's not forget, he didn't just beat opponents. He controlled narratives. His ability to sell a fight was as sharp as his jab. At the end of the day, Floyd Mayweather isn't just a boxer, he's a blueprint for how to turn a sport into an empire. He's a lesson in branding, in self-promotion, in creating value where others see only hype. People talk about his lavish lifestyle, his social media posts, his trips to the strip clubs and yachts, but they miss the point. The point is that Mayweather didn't get rich by being a fighter. He got rich by being a genius. He created a persona that the world couldn't stop watching. And when the world is watching, you get to cash in. Here's the kicker. Everyone else is still trying to figure out how to do it. Mayweather showed them, and they missed the boat. You want to know the secret to his success. It wasn't just talent.
And, I think that people's focus should be on.
It wasn't just the undefeated record. It was the sheer brilliance of his ability to make people care. Because in the end, if you don't know how to make people care, it doesn't matter how good you are. And Floyd Mayweather? He knew exactly how to make people care. So, while the haters will keep talking about his legacy in the sport, they'll never be able to deny one thing. Mayweather turned boxing into something far bigger than it ever was. He turned it into an empire, and you're still trying to figure out how he did it.